Hey everybody, welcome back to Conscientious Omnivore. My name is Pal. Today I want to do a video about cognitive dissonance. This is a phrase that often gets used in various kind of like vegan activism that I've seen, and I just wanted to do a quick video about it and give an example where I kind of found this recently. It's been on my plate of like videos to do, so it's not that recent, but for yeah, like it's relatively recent. So yeah, I guess basically let me just jump into it and kind of give you guys a definition of what cognitive dissonance is and some examples, and then show you the example as it relates to you know, kind of like animals and animal rights and veganism as the way it occurred to me when I saw this. So yeah, let's just jump into it. You know, here's just a website, simplypsychology.org. I'm not too familiar with them, but they have a pretty simple little easy to understand definition of cognitive dissonance. They say cognitive dissonance refers to a situation involving conflicting attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors. This produces a feeling of discomfort, leading to an alteration in one of the attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors to reduce the discomfort and restore balance. So it's basically a coping mechanism that happens where you are trying to alleviate some of the discomfort you might have when you have conflicting values, and you realize that when you receive some new information and it makes that obvious to you. So they give an example here of cognitive dissonance for smoking. They say when people smoke, which is a behavior, they know that smoking causes cancer, which is the cognition, and they're in a state of cognitive dissonance because they know something is bad for them, but they keep doing it anyway. And then they talk about kind of the guy who came up with this you know, term, and then they give some examples about how people deal with the dissonance. So here's the three ways that they say the dissonance can be reduced. So they say first is you can change one or more of the attitudes, beliefs, behaviors to make the relationship between the two elements a consonant one. So they say when one of the dissonant elements is a behavior, the individual can change or eliminate the behavior. So basically you could give up smoking, for example. However, this mode of dissonance reduction frequently presents problems for people as it is difficult for people to change well-learned behavioral responses. Example, giving up smoking. And I would add giving up eating animal products. The next method that they say for reducing this you know, uncomfortable dissonance is you acquire new information that outweighs the dissonant beliefs. So they say, for example, thinking that smoking causes lung cancer will cause dissonance if the person continues to smoke. But if they get new information, such as, oh, research has not proved definitely that smoking causes lung cancer, that may reduce the dissonance. So they say, oh, you know, it's not 100% clear yet that eating red meat is going to cause, you know, colon cancer. It's just a likely thing. So it's like, well, they're still arguing about it. I'll keep eating bacon and you know, beef and everything else. It's the same kind of thing. Then here, the third way is they reduce the importance of the cognitions. So basically the beliefs and the attitudes. They say a person could convince themselves that it is better to live for today than it is to save for tomorrow. In other words, he could tell himself that a short life lived with smoking and bacon and sensual pleasures is better than a long life devoid of such joys. So it's like, you keep eating your salads, vegans, and you know, your carrots, and I'll keep eating my bacon. In this way, the person would be decreasing the importance of dissonant cognition, i.e. smoking is bad for your health, or eating bacon is bad for your health, or whatever. So that's basically just the short and skinny of what the, you know, the phrase is, what it means. And I wanted to talk a little bit about something that actually happened a number of months ago. You guys may probably remember this, but Joey Carbstrong was on as a guest for this show called This Morning. And there's these two hosts over here, Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby is the co-host. And the two of them had Joey on, and they also had these dairy farmers on. And they had a kind of back and forth where they talked about, you know, some of these kind of ambiguous threats that some of the dairy farmers were saying they were getting, but seemingly I've never seen actual proof of any of them getting actual, you know, harassment, but a lot of people said they were getting death threats and all this kind of stuff. So long and short of it is that Joey was on, and when he was telling the hosts about kind of the standard practices within the dairy industry, how the animals are forcibly impregnated, how the babies are taken away, the cruelty involved there, and all these kinds of things. They basically chose to go the path of cognitive dissonance and try to kind of go to the natural fallacy, or like all these different arguments that they had to try and side with the farmers, that basically it's like, it's not as bad as you think, or, well, it's always been like this, or they brought up a whole bunch of stuff. And there was kind of the classic response here when, Joey was asking him about the morality of the situation, and, how can it be justified to take away the baby's animals and all this kind of stuff. And Philip had this to say.
For our health. We don't need to. It's unnecessary.
Just biologically, and in our development as a species, we've grown canine teeth.
Where?
Canine
Show me
teeth.
Yours.
Well,
they look very flat and blunt, like a cow's
no, that's
teeth.
the molars at the back, but the canines were developed to chew meat, to bite.
So, he basically goes on and he says that his canine teeth are for chewing meat and all this kind of stuff. And shout out to Foot Soldier. If anybody's not subscribed to Foot Soldier, go check out his channel. He did a wonderful, hour-long meme of this with crazy dance music playing in the background, and superimposed with an image of a guy who's actually trying to eat a roadkill bunny with his sharp canine teeth, and basically can't do anything except rip out the fur. I encourage everybody to watch this. It's quite a hoot. I mean, it's kind of sad to see the animal, trying to be, eaten by this guy who, I think later this guy became vegan, actually. But anyway, check out this video on Foot Soldier's channel. Shout out to Foot Soldier. Philip Schofield debunks veganism. Check that out. But anyway, so this guy, this happened a couple months ago. Actually, now I'm seeing that. Yeah, this was back in February. So this was at the beginning of the year. It was quite a while ago, and then more recently, when was this? This was about 2 months ago now. This same TV host and co-host, or I don't know who's the actual host, but whatever, the Philip guy and Holly, they had on a trophy hunter. And she is a mother who is big into trophy hunting. You can see these poor animals that are in what I think is her home, and they're stuffed animals now, after she shot and killed them and then brought them home for large sums of money from various parts of the world. And they ask her about all the kind of animals she's killed. She's killed over 100 species, she says. And she tries to justify all the actions, of course, by basically saying that it's part of conservation efforts and all this kind of stuff. And interestingly enough, neither Philip nor Holly are having any of what she's saying. And they're actually quite upset at some of her suggestions about how, that this is a conservation effort or whatever. And they see right through her, correctly so, that it's really just all about the thrill of the hunt. She's an adrenaline junkie. She gets a kick out of killing these animals because she thinks she's this big bad hunter, and she's stalking the prey and all this kind of nonsense. And they call her on it. And this is the part that really got me thinking about the cognitive dissonance. So the same guy who's basically telling Joey yeah, he's got canine teeth and it's natural, and he's don't worry about the cows and whatever. He's upset by the fact that this lady is going off and killing, these defenseless animals, because he realizes that it's completely unnecessary. So here he realizes that it's completely unnecessary, and she's just doing it for the jollies. And in the other case, because it's something that he also partakes in, he doesn't want to realize that it's completely unnecessary, and that he could just as easily drink oat milk or hemp milk or soy milk or whatever, of the other 10, 15 different varieties of plant milk. And he just doesn't want to see that. So listen to his response to her here.
No, but I've been to Africa, and I've seen that, and there has always been this battle between the locals and the animals that live by. They farm their animals, and the wild animals will always take the few that they need. This is an ongoing battle. It was ever thus. It's the fact now that you guys go out there for the adrenaline rush. So if you want the adrenaline, why don't you go out with a spear and make it slightly even?
Well,
so it's he's just basically yeah, why don't you go and fight the animal barehanded, or whatever. And obviously, the hunter takes offense to this. And my favorite part of this video is actually the kind of the look on the co-host, whatever her name is, Holly, Holly's face, because it's just pure, like, I don't know, gold. Like watching her face, she's got this like stern kind of like, I don't know, like schoolroom teacher kind of like look, and she's kind of like looking at her like, you know, like, what do you think? And then the response back, and the subsequent response is kind of like, I love the look on her face. So just check that out. I want to share it with you guys.
That's not quite even. You can't put a human in the same place as a lion or a leopard or
because you might be in danger.
But what you have to understand.
So, I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, sums it up. So in one way, you know, these people, they fully get that, like, in the case of the trophy hunting, it's a completely unnecessary and therefore immoral act. They are upset, rightly so, because the animals are endangered. So that's kind of one argument, is that there's few of these animals, or that they're endangered species, they're in vulnerable areas of the world, etc. There's also quite a bit that they talk about where they kind of make it a point that, like, look, you're going into these poor areas, and you know, you're basically you know, abusing the situation of you know, the power scenario that you have. Like, you have money and you're going to these like poor parts of the world and exploiting your your position of authority based on like wealth. You know, like you can go in and you know, do whatever you want in these local areas where there are very poor people trying to just, you know, make ends meet. And so they're basically calling her out on the fact that it's unnecessary, that the animals are endangered, that she's kind of abusing her like power and you know, wealth, and that it's really just about getting her, you know, enjoyment out of like killing these animals, and it's completely unnecessary. But it's the same person who basically wanted to defend the you know, the dairy farmers doing something that is equally unnecessary and you know, equally immoral and wrong. So it's very interesting, and I thought it was a good example of cognitive dissonance, and just yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. So I think that's it for today's video. I'm curious if you have any examples where you've seen cognitive dissonance similar to this, where, you know, somebody that you're talking to, you know, they don't understand the situation between, like, say, like, you know, killing dogs and stuff in various Asian countries for food, you know, versus like killing pigs in Western countries. Like, it's literally the same thing. It's just a matter of like your cultural preference and being used to kind of one being food and the other one not. So yeah, hope you guys found this interesting, and let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Bye.